Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another reaction. This is the Renegades React. If you're new or you've just recently hit your head, we have Nate and Micah on the couch. Just two of us tonight. But we are going to be checking out Everything Wrong with The Empire Strikes Back by the Cinema Sins. I'm going to try and maintain my composure because I do feel like objectively this is the best movie.
You think so?
Not necessarily my favorite, but I think as far as like directing, like writing, plot, it's just probably the best movie.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you can argue it.
Well, no. I agree to a certain extent. I mean, for me, this has something in it that I think movies now are missing. This has an overarching sense of, well, The Walking Dead pulls it off pretty good, but that's it's a virus that infected and killed a lot of people, and now all those people are coming back from the dead. No, this is like a sense of dread and doom that is brought on by a truly formidable enemy, and it gives you that sense that the bad guys may not pull through, and that's what films are missing nowadays. I expected Age of Ultron to pull that off. Like Ultron to be this like ultra like super bad guy that even when all the Avengers were together, even with Vision, I would have trouble with. But no, they
that movie was super upbeat.
It was
what I was expecting.
I know. I was expecting Empire, and I got Ultron, and I think a lot of people were expecting that. Maybe that's why people didn't like it as much. That and the pacing. Shots fired. Sorry. So yeah, Empire for me, I think, is the most well made. But for me, I gotta say, for me, my favorite, it just has to be my initial exposure to the series, A New Hope, and for me, there's just so many big scenes in that are just so momentous and will stick with me. This one here has its fair share and has probably one of the biggest plot twists in all of movie history, which I know Anna Kendrick's come out and said, "Oh, it's not much of a surprise. Vader's German and father, right? Or Vader's German for father." But
I think it did surprise people. I wasn't around for that really.
No, but when you first watched these films, did you know that Darth Vader was Luke's father?
I mean, they give you can kind of pick it up along the way, I guess, but I never really.
Yeah, I could see that.
Of course, when I was a kid, Return was my favorite. Which, I mean, of course, when I was a kid, that makes sense. But
yeah,
as
you've gotten older,
now there are parts of Return that are really powerful, and I always remember. But then, I mean, it does get a little goofy. I mean, I love the Ewoks, but they're a little silly.
The Ewoks. The thing with the Ewoks is that was when you realize. Well, Richard Marquand directed that, and I think by that point, Lucas realized the amount of marketing potential that the movies had. See, he realized that the first one, they released these crappy toys, which didn't do, they weren't much, and then they started taking it more seriously.
Well, I mean, he was like pretty much on thin ice when they were doing these movies because at the time, I mean, these sort of operatic music and things that wasn't in at the time.
No,
and they had to pay huge fines for not having opening credits and things. And a lot of people thought that he should just quit because nobody was going to buy into this stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were facing huge challenges all along the way.
You see, that's what modern day Hollywood doesn't get. You see, modern day Hollywood follows the exact same formula that's worked for the last 40, 50 years without trying anything new. And sometimes people don't know what they want, and the only way they're going to find it is if there are experimental things put out there that people can gravitate towards, that they find, and they want to share it with others, and thus they do share it with others. That's just like for us, Cowboy Bebop, and us generally discovering anime. A lot of people didn't get anime, but we watched Dragon Ball Z, we watched Gundam Wing, and it just stuck with us. And we still like select animes. I mean, I'm a bigger otaku than he is, but why am I looking at that camera? We're over here now. Sorry, that's a mistake. I'm probably gonna have to take that camera down up there for now, so I can get used to looking over here. But it's just Yeah, Empire. What it did is, for me, it truly showed how formidable the adversary was.
Sure.
And for them to truly overcome it, for Luke to get stronger,
Mm-hmm.
it gave you that, and for them to save Han. Spoilers, if you.
If you haven't seen Star Wars, then get out.
Yeah. What are you doing here? Yeah. Spoilers ahead. Duh. Okay. So, yeah, I think we've ranted enough.
Video starts at 30 minutes and 27 seconds.
Oh, shut up.
Hey, that's how the last movie started. Also, reading. Also, if I'm supposed to be reading and absorbing all this, f*** you. And if there's a quiz, I'm keying your car, teach. As we're about to see, the Empire is going to get their asses kicked yet again, with Luke Skywalker leading the charge.
Aside from the Death Star, during this entire series, we never see the Empire bring an aerial attack on a planet. They just send down these cumbersome Imperial walkers.
So what did they do to actually win something for once? And if they were winning, why were so many of the rebels allowed to flee across the galaxy? Okay, so this is a remote ice planet, I'm assuming, where no one really lived before, because it's colder than f***. But the rebels came here and then found, tamed, and learned how to ride the indigenous Tauntauns and built a whole base inside the mountain in 3 years, and no one from the Empire had any idea. Don't you think this was a little like the Oregon Trail for a while? You have died of dysentery. Well, that was some convenient timing, assuming this planet is not super tiny. What are the odds Luke's patrol coincides perfectly with the probe's arrival?
Steady, girl. Hey, what's the matter?
Discount horse. Movie rips off Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's abominable snowman. Thankfully for Luke, this species of snow monster drags its prey back to the cave before fully killing it. Holy shit. Who would have guessed that of all 3 movies, including the one where she wears a bikini, that this would be the sexiest Leia moment of all? Discount Hoth Chic C-3PO.
I thought you had decided to stay.
Well, the bounty hunter we ran into when Lord Mendel changed my mind.
First off, Han refers to some other adventure we have no context for unless we read the f***ing books. Second off, Han decides it's time to go because he ran into a bounty hunter on some other planet who obviously doesn't know where he is now. It's been 3 years. Does Han actually think it's best to risk his freedom by going to Jabba now?
Excuse me, sir. Might I? Yes, sir.
Covering a robot's mouth actually stops it from making noise. Huh. Who knew?
Are the speeders ready?
Not yet. We're having some trouble adapting them to the code.
Which is weird, because everything else works on this planet regardless of cold.
And you've been here for 3 years.
before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
Hungry Wampa decided to knock out
100%
Luke
for
and
that.
put him in the fridge before eating him. And Luke has been dangling upside down unconscious for who knows how long. Blood running to his head. And before you go telling me his Jedi ways help him avoid traditional physiological problems like that, I'll point out his Jedi ways did jack and shit to help him avoid landing in this situation to begin with. The real question is, how did that lightsaber manage to fall close enough to Luke for this, but far enough away that it couldn't have just slipped out of his holster and fallen straight down? I get what you're going for here, I really do, but in the last movie you showed me this asshole using the Force while blind to deflect unseen laser blasts from a drone. How can he do that, but not this? What is it about this series and cutting arms or hands off? Luke is smart, right? Why doesn't he just kill that thing and stay in the cave? Han's so worried about nightfall he's headed out to find Luke, and he does, but only because Luke is stupid enough to wander out of the cave just before nightfall. So
This is
Luke
true.
left the beast's cave,
He
fell
could've killed
unconscious
that
for a
thing
bit,
and
but
just
then
sure
woke back up
stayed in
and
the
started
cave.
walking again? Really? Luckily for Luke and
Be honest,
Han, this
he's
planet's
got a
freezing temperatures do not lead to
technological
hypothermia and quick death.
Cut that sucker in half.
This
Cut
asshole
his
only
head off.
shows up in the absolute most extreme Luke might die situations. Why couldn't he appear to Luke 4 hours earlier and say, Luke, do not explore the meteorite you saw?
You will go to the Dagobah system.
Provided, of course, that Han sticks you in a dead tauntaun so that you can live. Also, the Dagobah system sounds racist.
There you will learn
Rodney
from
Dangerfield for
Yoda,
that.
the Jedi Master who instructed me.
Sorry I didn't tell you this sooner over the last 3 years. I was baking brownies. Minutes in my time are years in your time. I still say that in all the Star Wars movies, the most unbelievable thing is that Han somehow finds Luke during dusk on a huge snow planet.
Pretty unbelievable.
Tauntaun ex machina.
But it'll keep you warm.
How does Han stuff Luke into a tauntaun belly? They're not much bigger than humans. Han somehow survives the bitter cold all through the night without getting inside the tauntaun himself. That sounded dirty, but Han should be frozen much
He's
like
burned a lot
Luke
more
was a minute
calories
ago.
digging that
Why is
cave.
this asshole flying up and down over the hills, rather than just flying over the hills? Does he like to cheat death on rescue missions?
It looks
Hot
cool.
spa. Also, these things have very little privacy. This guy has to rehab in front of everyone in a diaper.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
What's worse, this lame-ass insult or the fact that Chewie found it funny? Neither the Force nor Obi-Wan has told Luke about Leia being his sister yet, even though it's been 3 years. This must be a massive, very dark practical joke.
Okay.
Translation, this is some shit right here.
It's metal.
Then it couldn't be one of those creatures.
Could be a speeder, one of ours.
You mean the speeders you were just told last night can't go out in the cold?
They're having some trouble.
Can we all at least agree that in this one instance, Han shot second?
That is the system. And I'm sure Skywalker is with them. Set your course for the Hoth system.
Look, if you're sure, as you say, why did it take a drone report and a photograph for you to figure out Skywalker's location?
The rebels are alerted to our presence. Admiral Ozzel came out of light speed too close to the system.
Why didn't Vader specifically leave an order not to do that? Or is the movie saying no one could have possibly known that and Vader's just being a dick?
Sir, rebel ships are coming into our sector.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
After one small ship beat the Death Star, ignorance and confidence are the same thing. So you can land these things outside the energy shield, but you can't get some quick fighters down here to perform an aerial assault. Look, these things are awesome in many ways, but that doesn't mean they make sense. Besides, how are these things not using tracks like tanks to move? They needed to use actual freaking legs. Also, movie completely glosses over how much slipping and sliding should be going on with all this snow and ice.
Rogue group, use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs.
Why the hell do these small fighters have tow cables? For towing a 1974 Buick? And harpoons for, I guess, whaling? Goddamn, falling down makes these Imperial walkers go from bulletproof to flammable as hell. The birthing process between walkers on Hoth was accelerated tenfold, and the baby is already walking. I didn't even see any f***ing, so this is amazing. Ku Klux Stormtrooper. Luke survives this crash. Honestly, how do you guys even build all this underground infrastructure in snow anyway?
This bucket of bolts is never going to get us past that blockade.
That's kind of true, but why was Luke's X-Wing somehow able to get through the blockade no problem? Man, this ship is always taking off just in the nick of time, and while being shot at. I'm sure it takes off under normal, calm circumstances plenty of times, but we don't ever seem to see it. Vader senses or sees the Falcon leave, but does not apparently sense his son Luke, fellow Force user, a few hundred feet above him on the snow. Okay, so why can't he use the Force to maybe even slightly knock the ship off course and crash it into the mountain? As we learned from Yoda, size doesn't matter, so why not at least try? Or rather, do, because there is no try. Here's another thing. How are there not any Imperial ships guarding the exit off the planet? We even heard them talk about a blockade earlier, so where is it?
And the rebels didn't find some other side of the planet where the blockade wouldn't affect them, so what gives?
Two of these three Star Destroyers pursuing the Falcon run into each other. How is that possible? How do you not see another Star Destroyer in your path? Do you not have radar, training, skill? Who's flying the ship right now? Leia? Autopilot evasion software?
That was no laser blast. Something hit us.
Like an asteroid? How does an asteroid hit you when you're not dead yet? Water creatures in the Star Wars franchise never find the heroes tasty. Oh yeah, and how is R2 still working right now with all that sludge in his system? Whoa, that does not look like James Earl Jones at all.
Does that include shutting me down too?
No, I need you to talk to the Falcon. Find out what's wrong with the hyperdrive.
But he just said what was wrong with the hyperdrive a few minutes ago, didn't he?
I noticed earlier the hyperdrive motivator has been damaged.
And you didn't fix it because you hit the asteroid field before you could do anything. So that's still the problem, right?
I'm looking for someone.
And hire a new one.
Looking? Found someone you have, I would say.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries, we'll try to figure out where Yoda's sense of humor went after this one scene in The Empire Strikes Back. Luke's dinner consists of Cheetos, blocks that look like cheese, some sort of white candy or pills, hush puppies, and strips of drywall.
You seek Yoda.
You know him?
Take it to him, I will.
Just like Obi-Wan, Yoda initially pretends not to be the person he actually is, mostly just to f with the audience. I mean, Luke.
I believe, sir, it says that the power coupling on the negative axis has been polarized.
Is that another way of saying the hyperdrive motivator is damaged, or is this some completely new invented bullshit reason for the hyperdrive not to work?
Sir, I've isolated the reverse power flux coupling.
The C in C-3PO stands for cockblock. Where the f is this? Why are holograms just shooting out of the floor here?
Why are there screens in some instances and random holograms in others?
I have no doubt this boy is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker.
Which is a weird thing to say to Anakin Skywalker. Also, didn't the very fact that his name is Luke Skywalker tip you off? You can't seriously expect us to believe that after Luke destroyed the Death Star, the Empire didn't hear what the hell his name was. Also, Luke was hidden on another planet, so that Darth Vader couldn't find him. Yet he kept the name Skywalker.
I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience.
Yoda talks about Luke to a ghost in front of Luke, and this is his way of revealing himself to actually be Yoda.
This one, a long time have I watched. All his life as he looked away to the future, to the horizon.
Maybe because you assholes stuck him on a shitty distant planet with his aunt and uncle, and gave him no other type of future to look forward to. How the hell do you blame him for that? Are you saying if you'd stuck around on Tatooine and enjoyed dusting crops, you'd have flown out here like magic to train him? I think not. Either way, he's not a Jedi. What the fuck?
You are reckless.
So was I, if you remember.
Obi-Wan is basically Jedi Ghost lawyer here.
He is too old.
Is Yoda cranky? Does he not really want to train Luke? Why the 100 excuses thing? I know we're building tension for the audience. I mean Luke, but other than that, why is he so resistant? This movie is basically saying Ghost Obi-Wan is wiser than 800-year-old Yoda, which is just f***ing stupid. Cool for sure, but how does a creature this giant survive on an asteroid with little to no food available?
A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack.
But tell me why I can't...
No, there is no why.
Jedi Master gets frustrated with obvious questions. I thought you assholes were supposed to be at peace with everything, even annoying trainees.
That place is strong with the dark side of the Force. A domain of evil it is.
There's a domain of evil sitting around just being evil in the Dagobah system? What the f*** for?
Your weapons. You will not need them.
Because you see, this evil domain, strong with the dark side of the Force, out in the middle of nowhere, it just, well, it's here for psychological reasons. In the unlikely case someone comes down here. It's a strict Freudian, I hear. What will really bake your noodle is what this would have been if Luke hadn't brought his weapons with him. Also, face your adversary in a dream before facing them in real life cliché. Someone set this video game to the easy setting. Symbolism. Also, Luke cuts off Dream Vader's head and sees his own face inside, and still can't figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
the Force is
that's
literally screaming the truth at him, but he's not listening. So Darth Vader's orders are that he wants the passengers alive. So why are these millions of green lasers getting shot at the ship right now? What happens if one of these things ends up destroying the ship?
Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try. Luminous beings shall be, not this crude matter.
Yoda breaks the teacher-student boundary rule. Okay, so after this big talk about how rocks and spaceships are different from each other, and size doesn't matter and all that jazz, Yoda then proceeds to power the ship out of the water, but with considerable effort, I might add. If the Force supposedly doesn't distinguish the size of objects, this thing should have emerged immediately.
I don't believe it.
That is why you fail.
Pimp. I'm taking a sin off for that too. Yoda is too badass.
I approve.
Captain Solo, this time you have gone too far.
What the hell is he blabbing about? Gone too far? In what way? This is an amazing move of considerable cunning, and it got them out of being captured or killed. It at the very least bought time, even if he didn't have a plan after that. Instead of waiting even a few minutes after floating away with the garbage before taking off, Han takes off immediately, thereby allowing himself to be trailed. Boba Fett makes one of the luckiest guesses ever and has himself shot out with the trash to follow the Falcon, just in case it was doing the old attach yourself to the big ship so it can't be read by their scopes, and leave when they empty their trash trick. Also, why can't the Falcon detect this ship right behind it?
It's a slave one. You can't pick it up on
help
radar.
them you could, but you will destroy all for which they have fought and suffered.
Because your dad is Darth Vader and he can turn you to the dark side and the rebels would lose the war. But that's a spoiler for the audience that you, the most important character in this movie, is just better off not knowing.
Welcome, Leia.
Leia isn't pregnant with Lando's baby already.
You and your abilities the Emperor wants.
And also, Darth Vader is your father. Damn,
He's
I
one
can't tell him
smooth
that until the
criminal.
big surprise, can I?
If you end your training now, if you choose the quick and easy path, as Vader did, you will become an agent of evil.
Except he doesn't. So, in your face, false prediction Yoda.
That boy is our last hope.
No. There is another.
Kinda makes you wonder what would have happened if Luke got killed or turned to the dark side. Would Leia have received a vision to go to Dagobah somehow? But Yoda would have died before she got there, leaving nobody to train her. I'm guessing her training would have consisted of going to the library, learning Jedi Master from microfiche, and also stuff about demons. Lots and lots of demons. 3 away. Aha! Proof that Cloud City is funded by Gringotts.
Good one.
I'm surprised Vader didn't shoot Han first.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did.
How did they do that? Even if Boba Fett tells Vader that they're going to Cloud City immediately after he starts following the Falcon has a huge head start, and this is after the Star Destroyers went into lightspeed in a different direction. Empire scientists create another what the f*** is that thing for a torture device. It looks like it's made of at least 5 failed science projects. This contraption does things so horrible, it's better left off screen, because whatever bullshit that thing is doing is probably bullshit, but it sure does hurt.
Oh, yes, that's very good. I like that.
C-3PO's reconstructive porn dialogue.
Oh, my! What have you done? I'm backwards, you sleep-eaten furball.
You know, C-3PO was kind of an annoying character in the first movie, but lovably so. In Empire, he's a whiny know-it-all who's actually kind of mean.
I love you.
I know.
Yep, take off for that one. You had
Walt
to.
Disney.
Skywalker has just landed, my lord. Good. See to it that he finds his way in here.
Awesome. How the f*** do I do that? Do you think he'd respond to breadcrumbs? What the f***? Is David Copperfield pushing that thing? Ilando.
Luke! Luke, don't, it's a trap!
Somehow, despite this scene, it's still Admiral Akbar that is most remembered for saying it's a trap. Also, like any hero in any adventure, Luke ignores his friend's warning that it's all a trap, because the power of space boners is stronger. Oh, they actually succeeded in following Vader's orders to lead Luke here, by parading the prisoners around in circles below this arena until he showed up, apparently.
You think that after what you did to Han, the women...
Oh, come on. This is one of those things where I understand, but I don't understand. He just risked his own neck to take you out of custody, but we're going to waste time with trust issues after a baller move like that?
Just try it out! We don't need any of your help.
Really? Like the kind that just freed you from captivity so you could escape? You don't need that kind of help?
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
And Pip
Unnecessary
slapped
orders.
Leia and tell her to
Rest
shut
of the good
hell
guys
up
running
and
directly
follow.
by random spot R2-D2 just happen to wind up cliche.
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Why does Vader assume that Obi-Wan taught Luke? And we know that Luke doesn't quite have a hold of his thoughts and his emotions yet, so how does Yoda not pop into Darth Vader's head? And if dead Obi-Wan could have done the training, why did Luke even have to go to the Dagobah system? Already this lightsaber battle is complex enough to confirm my suspicions that Vader was merely humoring Obi-Wan last movie. Vader starts using the Force to throw objects at Luke during the battle, which not only feels like cheating, but also makes me wonder why he doesn't do more of that. Well, here's the Millennium Falcon again, taking off amidst yet another hail of laser fire. There goes another limb. No one just gets stabbed by a lightsaber in this series, do they?
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
For reasons pretty unclear, considering you would be finding out anyway via the Force, or in this case, dramatic reveal to the audience.
He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
We're gonna get a supreme bullshit explanation for this discrepancy, aren't we?
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
It requires about 10 syllables to say no in Tatooine English, or Tattoo English. Also, no. Movie paints suicide as the noble choice. Luke falls off a bridge, basically to his death, and then is saved by this thing. I don't know what it is, or if Luke knew it would do this, but what a crazy asshole random this is. Well, if the antenna isn't an ex machina, him somehow grabbing onto it while falling definitely is.
Look, someone's up there.
How can you tell that from this distance?
Luke.
Father.
Damn, he went right into the acceptance phase of that shocker, didn't he?
Why didn't you tell me?
Because if he had, it wouldn't have been a big whammy for the audience. How can this character not know he's in a movie, for Christ's sake? You guys have hyperdrive, right? Meanwhile, here's a load of rebel ships that managed to somehow escape the Hoth blockade without incident. We didn't show you that because we showed you the Millennium Falcon's escape attempt, but it totally happened. I promise.
I'm surprised they didn't point out the fact that Lando was wearing Han's clothes.
That was
weird.
Yeah, that was kind of random. Now was that in this one? I guess.
Yeah. It was right at the end, right when they were flying
Hey,
up,
girl. Hey,
and
what's
Luke
the
was
matter?
getting his new hand.
And was there a scene in Return?
I'm late for a very important date. There is no spoon.
Uh-oh. Which one are they gonna go with?
Oh, here's a fun fact. You made out with your sister, man!
Chewie, take care of yourself, okay?
Brother's got a hug.
Oh.
Beef. It's what's for dinner.
James T. Kirk.
I'm finished. No! Bolt! I'm wearing a Viridian patch on my back. Spock slapped it there just before we went on Gorkin's ship.
R2 says the chances of survival are 725 to 1.
Please, don't quote me the price when I haven't got the time.
Tommy, how's the peeping? Tommy, how's the peeping?
I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir, honest.
I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience.
If you build it, he will come.
When did you have there?
They were in pain.
You have the sight now, Neo.
There are 2 rules to remember if you want to have a good time. Rule number 1, never run out of Colt 45. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Billy D, baby.
Oh, man.
Love Billy D. Williams. Yeah, I'm just... A lot of problems with the story, but still, it's a fun movie. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
one of the best films ever. And we just need to hire CinemaSins to go over our script and help us be our editors on the film as well. Just be like, okay, any sins here? Because they do call some bullshit ones every now and again, but at the same time, it's just like they call out a lot of stuff. It's just like, okay, I get it now. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man. The whole hype that's coming for The Force Awakens, I'm afraid that the movie's not gonna live up to the hype.
I don't know, man.
I'm afraid. I'm really afraid because I really want it to live up to the hype.
It's scary. It really is. I mean, could you imagine helming this project? I mean,
oh, dude, J.J. Abrams is under a crap ton of stress with this.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, honestly, he handled Star Trek. I think he handled Star Trek beautifully.
Yeah,
with how he did the first two films, minus the whole Khan switcheroo in the second one.
I liked Into Darkness,
Well, dude, I like Into Darkness too, but to me, they could have had an ending that was different. I mean, I get it. They did a switcheroo with who went into the core.
Mm-hmm.
They did a switch up there, and I can appreciate them paying homage. But if they had so many great set pieces for Spock to have a battle on, and what did they do? Floating cars in a city. Instead of on the remains of the Dark Enterprise, the huge.
I
ship.
can see that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because the set pieces that they could have came up with, and plus have Kirk come in and fight him with him, because Spock wasn't able to overpower him by himself,
right?
Until Uhura came in with the thing, and maybe they could have kept Uhura, and I don't know. There's so many things they could have done, but when I watched when I watched the movie, I was just like, no, you can't do this again. And then all of a sudden, and you see and don't get me wrong, there was a really emotional scene too, especially where you look over it and you see Uhura and Scotty and their emotions at it.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe Saldana and Simon Pegg, they're probably two of my favorite actors in those entire movies. But the way J.J. Abrams handled those, and the way that everyone's coming together for this, Disney being Disney. Disney's taking things more seriously now, and with the people they have at the helm of this, Lawrence Kasdan coming back as screenwriter, J.J. Abrams, who's a very, very good director, Simon Pegg's in there. He took extra work just to be in this film. They also got John Boyega. They got all the three originals back, and from what I hear, Lando's coming back too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yeah, awesome. And I'm just afraid the hype will not live up. But at the same time, that's life.
Sure.
I mean, you can hope and pray for the best, but until you actually experience it yourself.
And honestly, I mean, they could do a really great job. I mean, because, they've not really released much about the movie.
That's right.
The hype is all kind of on us.
Well, of course,
So.
that's true. That's true. Now that I think about it, yeah, because in terms of how the previews have gone and everything, they've done it right. They haven't given too much away. That's just like the problem with the Batman versus Superman trailer. They gave too much away.
So really, they could have done the job as well as they could possibly have done it, but there's just too much hype built up on the other end,
Yeah, and
because I mean, you can ruin stuff for yourself.
Of course, and I don't want to ruin stuff for for me. I was so hyped for Mad Max that when I first watched it, I was a little underwhelmed, and then I watched it again, and I was able to take everything in.
Sure.
And multiple viewings really upped my opinion of it, and it made me realize just how good of a film it was. And for me, I've tried so hard to stay off the hype train for this. Like whenever I get into stuff, I get into it deep. Like I have news feeds coming to me. Anything Star Wars, like anything related to a movie I'm interested in coming out, I get deep into. This I haven't done that with very often.
Sure.
But you know how a lot of Star Wars fans are, dude. They go crazy.
Oh yeah.
For everything. Like they'll watch TV spots 100 times just to see if they can find something.
Oh yeah.
And they'll watch like 3 seconds of bonus footage on a trailer that has a website that gives their computer malware, and they'll do anything.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, it's crazy, but that's fandom for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's fandom, and that's the era we live in.
Indeed it is. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this one. We appreciate everyone for joining us. Please check the description for our related content, and hopefully we will see you all very soon.